Well, hello and welcome to this week's Angling News KZN Fishing Report. Now, I bet you are wondering, what am I going to talk about after last week's big waves and heavy winds and where were the guys fishing? Well, guys, I can't tell you. There was fish last week. Anglers did persevere. Now, don't get me wrong, it was not fireworks, but those that did go out were certainly rewarded, and more so here at the Durban harbour. That is why I am broadcasting from here. That is why my rods are in the car, and I'm going to put out a bait in a few minutes. So, guys, just to report on what happened over this week. So, guys, starting off down the south coast, before these heavy winds came through and these big seas, fishing was on fire. It's as if the fish knew that there was going to be some rough weather and they needed to feed. And boy, did they feed. There was a lot of garrick, brusher, bream, inedibles. It was fantastic down the south coast. That this weekend it is shaped up to be an absolute perler. Guys, the conditions are looking good. From Thursday afternoon, Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning, that is your window to go out and fish. You will definitely be getting onto some fish in that window. Sunday afternoon, the wind does pick up. That easterly comes through and it's going to be pounding. The fish that are predicted to be on the bite are those bronze bream. So guys, make sure to go and carry that chocker and prawn bait. You will be getting rods bending on those. And guys, this is the visuals that came in from Adam over this past week. Some really cool stuff. This is what you can expect from the water conditions. This is Wednesday afternoon down on the lower south coast.
Good day, Vinesh. So we're down here at this local bream spot that I always come and stop by. Got a nice big open view here, so nice to see what the weather is doing and what the sea is doing. As we can see that it's definitely dropped quite a bit, the swell of these last few days, quite significantly, which is thankfully, really not made too much an impact on the lower coast. Some of the gullies up front here are quite choked up with a bit of sand, and I see a bit of rain in the background there. We know there's going to be a bit of wet weather for this weekend. However, alas, humans are waterproof and the fish don't mind. So it should be okay fishing wise. But otherwise, guys, let's see those catches and hopefully it's going to be a PB for somebody out there. Take care.
So guys, while we're on the show, I just want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, the Kingfisher and CMH Pinetown, with their brands being Mitsubishi, Proton, and Nissan. Guys, they're the ones that put this funding together to make these shows possible. They are the ones that are bringing us these fishing reports and making sure the news is good and accurate. So as always, support those that support you, and in this case, the Kingfisher and CMH Pinetown. I'm moving further down to Warner Beach. Once again, the weather conditions were bad since the weekend. I mean, we're talking about dirty water all the way up to about 700 meters out. But then, from Wednesday, the water cleared up. The water was nice and cold. There was some inedibles on the bite. And yesterday morning, and in the mornings, there was some shad on the bite. So apart from the shad, there's still some stumpy and brusher. In the evenings, the water's looking good and clear. It's looking rather fantastic, actually. And once again, this weekend is shaped up to be rather spectacular. So guys, moving on down to Durban. We all know how the weather conditions are, but there were anglers that went out and persevered. Now, last week's report, we did say go and fish those bay areas, those areas that are away from the wind, and you will be rewarded. We are talking about bronze bream, shad, the odd cob. There was a lot of small shad, right? But I mean, these were those areas where the guys were hidden away, fishing just up at the basin where it's protected from the wind. The sea was rather flat. Now, don't get me wrong, there was a whirlpool out at the entrance of the harbor, but there were some anglers that still went out. I bumped into some guys at the ski boat club yesterday, and they said they were out there fishing on Sunday at South Pier. And yes, it was pounding, but they did get a fair amount of lanternfish. So there has been some good species out there. But the highlight of Durban over last week has been right here at the Durban harbour. Guys, the species that came out were tremendous. Lots of grunts. I'm talking like crazy amount of grunter. There were stumpies, there were cob, there were half cob, there were snapper salmon, and on top of that, we are talking about a kingfish that came out of up to 9 kilos. It was estimated to be between 8 and 9 kilos. This was on a live mullet, and there was a rock out of 5 kilos that came out. Now on your offshore side, like I said, I was at the ski boat club last night, and the guys were talking about some keelback that came out during the week. There was bottom fish species that were coming out. So apart from that, we didn't hear much else. But we're bound to know about a lot of more fish that are going to be coming out over this weekend, because while I was chatting with the guys at the Skibo Club, all of them are game to go out. Now, moving up to the North Coast, guys, it was a tough week's fishing. It was really tough, apart from bronze bream. Bronze bream came out in abundance. There was a lot of bronze bream, but bear in mind, these bronze bream were sitting quite deep. Now we know, as in the previous weeks, I was talking about the bronze bream hugging the rocks. They were not, you didn't have to throw too far. This time you kind of had to put a decent cast out, but what was in favor was that the sandbanks seemed to have been a lot more closer, and that's what allowed the anglers to get good catches of bronze bream over this past week. Now, apart from the bronze bream, not much else has really happened. However, we did hear these areas that were being fished for Christmas Bay. I didn't get too many reports out of there, but it is all shaped up. Guys, ballito this weekend, trust me, get out there. The water is absolutely clear. It is clean. The conditions are looking good. You will get fish in Christmas Bay this weekend. Now, moving further up during the course of the week, Stanger and those surrounding areas, virtually no reports of anglers getting some fish because there was just no one going out. Mtunzini Banks, once again, also not many anglers fishing, but the positive news that came out of Mtunzini was that these big waves certainly opened up the river mouth, and the river is a lot deeper. Hence, we are going to see a lot of action. In fact, that action is going to be there this weekend. There's predictions. Mtunzini River is going to be on fire this weekend. Now, moving up to Richards Bay. Guys, I did hear of one or two tuna that has been on the bite. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy in their harbour either. And on your rock and surf side, there were a few reports of one or two inedibles that came out during the course of this week. As for St. Lucia and Cape Vidal, well, guys, unfortunately, there's zero reports out of there except for your offshore side. There was a wahoo that I had seen and a fair amount of tunas, and this was the reports that came through on Wednesday. So there has been some fish out at St. Lucia on the offshore side, on your rock and surf side, on the estuary side. No reports. However, it is suggested that if you are heading up there for this long weekend, what you want to do is go and fish Mapalan. That is going to be one of the preferred areas to fish out there. So guys, on your freshwater side of KZN, it is absolutely fantastic on all facets. We are talking trout, bass, carp, and scalies. Scalies are ridiculous right now. I mean, have a look at some of these images from Jan. Guys are having a real treat with the scalies out there, really bending rods throughout these dams. And if you want to know what these fish are feeding on, make sure to listen to our podcast, because Jan tells you the exact flies and patterns that are being used. On your trout side, yes, there has been some trout that's coming up, but that's more so on your river side. Still waters, not too many reports out there. As for the bass, well, bass has been a bit slow this week with regards to the reports. We have no doubt they are still feeding, but the bigger concern is the water levels are very low. So when you are out there, guys, those rocks are going to be pretty slippery. So please take note and be careful of when walking on them. So guys, that is your KZN report in a nutshell. Now, like we said, it wasn't fireworks through the week. Prior to the big waves, yes, absolutely. However, this weekend is shaping up to be an absolute pearler. As I mentioned, it's a long weekend. We are bound to get some fish. The weather is set to settle down from Thursday afternoon, Friday, Saturday. That is going to be an outstanding time to go out and fish. As for Sunday, you got the small window in the morning, but then easterly is going to come through, and it's going to come through at about 40 knots per hour, so it's going to pound. And Monday is going to be a bit of an unpleasant time to fish, but it's going to be a bright day anyway, so we're going to have fun. It's going to be a brilliant weekend. Go out there, get that fishing done before you spend time with the family. But when you're out there, guys, always remember, keep that fishing area tidy, respect your bag limits, and fish for the future.